and also having an intimate relationship, and also is important for that relationship. And for that reason, it's that way.
I see. Okay. I'm curious if the dead, you guys on the other side, have sexual emotions. Do you experience sexual desire over there?
Yes.
Oh, you do? Well, then what can you do about it?
Have mental sex, because it is a mental process.
Oh, I see. So it's just a process of visualization.
It's much more than that, he says. It's much more than just visualization. It's the merging of energies in some way. It's like, yeah, it's a merging of energies and being completely vulnerable and being. That's strange, because I thought they could actually. They were always vulnerable, but he says it's different. It's complete merging of energies into one.
Well, is there some type of sexuality that can go on between two entities on the other side? Is there some sort of friction or something? I seem to recall Eric somewhere saying this, that there was a kind of friction from the rubbing up each other's energetic bodies. There's obviously no genitals, but there's is that correct?
That's the image I am being shown. There's complete energy merging. So I can see two energetic balls, sort of spheres, and they're completely merging into one.
So that's like the equivalent of sex on the other side. That's what they do.
Mm-hmm.
So they can have a kind of sex then, but it has nothing to do with reproducing. It's not tied to biological reproduction. It's just tied to the pleasure of merging with another entity's energy.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a type of sex that goes on over there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, it's the language, he says. It's what you call it. We don't call it sex. We can call it anything else. We can call it merging. We can call it integrating. Call it anything.
Mm-hmm.
But it's yeah.
So do they have desire though to have physical sex down here on the earth? Does that play a role in why they choose to incarnate?
One of the reasons, but it's not that one reason. It can never be that one reason. It's more emotional. It's more of an energetic thing, but it's never just to have sex. That is a part of being human.
Right.
That will be a part of being human. Dealing with sexuality in some way.
So do when we incarnate, do we switch sexes, right? That's a normal thing.
Mm-hmm.
Then how do you have an identity on the other side? Do you think of yourself as male? Do you think of yourself as female on the other side, or what?
He's talking about identifying. There is no sex on the other side, but because we know him as a male, Carl Jung, he would present himself like that. But when two beings meet, then they don't identify themselves as male or female. It's just two energies. There is no need for this identification and separation and having just one more way to compartmentalize, label and stuff like that. The needs for labels is gone on the other side, he says.
I see. I take it, Jung, you've incarnated on the planet as both a man and a woman through different lifetimes. Which did you like being better?
He's saying that he collected a lot of information as a female first, so he has had a lot of lifetimes as a female, and a female's body allowed him to have a deeper understanding of life, of everything around him, and then he put it all together as Carl in an analytical way. Yeah.
Is sex the same on other planets? Because there's life on other planets, right? Do they have sexual reproduction the same way that we do, or is it different on every planet?
Many planets have sexual reproduction like we do.
Okay.
But there are different forms of it on other planets as well.
Could he give us an example of a form of reproduction on another planet that we might not know about?
He's talking about our own planet. He's talking about the trees. I don't know whether he's saying that there's something similar to it, but he's talking about how trees have insects and bees. That's a different form of, so that's what he's talking about. But on other planet, maybe he's saying that there are planets where sex happens in this way. But that's why I thought it's sort of like interspecies or things like that. I don't know.
Okay. Switching gears then for the last couple questions here. Is the collective unconscious right now in a state of turmoil? It seems to be spitting out archetypes and melting them down, and there seems to be a lot of liquefaction going on in the collective unconscious, and it seems to be very turbulent right now. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. What I can see is, well, I can see boiling water with a lot of bubbles in it. So I guess that it means it's turbulent, and he agrees with it. Yeah.
Are we headed then for a lot of political chaos right now? Are there going to be political problems? I'm thinking about the West in particular. Is there going to be a lot of difficult social upheavals and political problems, violence, that kind of thing?
He's saying there will always be people who are opportunistic and will use this turbulence to their benefit.
I see. And what?
This turbulence and confusion, he says, and confusion. There's a confusion, according to him.
Okay. And what, Carl, what do you think about artificial intelligence? Is that something that's going to be a big deal? Or is it something that's more of just a kind of a science fiction fantasy? What do you see happening there?
It won't be a big deal in the sense that it will take over the world and things like that. But he's saying that artificial intelligence is going to affect individual relationships, and people will prefer having relationship with an artificially intelligent thing.
Really? That doesn't sound like fun to me. All right. My last question then is, Carl, what can you tell us about a favorite past life that you had? What was one of your favorites? You know what? Can I rephrase that? What I would like to know is his most recent past life before he was Carl Jung. What was that?
What I can see is like a matriarchal society, a community which is matriarchal, and he is like the head of the family with lots of grandchildren, lots of babies around him, and he is the grandmother or the top of the family in a matriarchal system. That is what I can say.
That was his most recent life before?
That was his most recent. Yeah, he
was this grandmother.
He was in the position of authority. He was loving. He was understanding. He was very intuitive, perceptive, and in that environment, he absorbed a lot of information through the community, through the family, through the children, through the grandchildren. He was able to absorb a lot of information through his own love for them, through his own concern for them, through his own concern for their well-being, and being the one to be able to provide, take care, protect. He was able to absorb a lot of information.
I see. Okay.
And understand a lot of things.
All right. My last question here is, Carl, what do you think about Jungians? These people who carry your work on and call themselves Jungian. They annoy me quite a bit. And I'm just curious how you feel about them. Are they, I don't know. It seems to me like that your work is one thing, but Jungians, they sort of carry it on, and they become like weak clones of you, is rather annoying. So I'm just wondering what you think about what your followers have done with your work.
He's saying that they are enthusiasts who are trying to understand everything around them and trying to make something of it, his theories, and they're using them. So he looks at them like just people who are very curious, trying to sort of understand the world around them. That's what he thinks. Yes. And how are they dealing? Where are they taking his work? Is that your question? What he thinks about? Where are they taking? He thinks they're doing all right.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Does he have a lifetime currently running on the planet right now, or is he not incarnate?
Well, I can see a baby. I think it means that he is incarnated. Yes.
He is incarnated. How is it that we can talk with him on the other side while he's got an incarnation down here? How does that work?
Because we are talking to the higher self to which the baby is connected. So the higher self is always there in the higher realm.
And so then, does the higher self, is it, so it still remains on the other side while we incarnate down here? And
oh, yes.
So then it can experience that incarnation, and it's very difficult to understand. This is a question I have. Some people have asked me about how this works. Everything that's happening to that incarnate self is feeding back into the higher self, right? And does it change the nature of the higher self because it has these physical experiences? Is it changing it?
Yes.
So that it's evolving, it's trying to evolve spiritually,
yes,
and having physical lives help it to evolve spiritually. Is that correct?
Yes. It's to do with focus, he says. Like when you're in the body, your focus is limited and you can only focus what you can sort of sense through the 5 senses.
Yeah.
But you can transcend that through mind. but the ability to focus is always sort of limited because of the denseness of this vibration and this realm. But in the higher self, you're much more flexible. You can choose to focus on this life or this life or this life, this all the lives that you're having at the same time. You can choose to focus on any of them and see what's going on there. But the individuals are always sort of connected to the higher self, and all the higher selves are connected. So it's all sort of connected in one big ball of energy.
Well, can that mean then that you don't just have to have one incarnation at a time, but you can have multiple incarnations at the same time?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You can.
Yes, yes, yes.
Why do we incarnate? I mean, what's the reason for doing it?
It's different for everyone. It's different for everyone. It's to have sort of it's to have this experience which sort of helps you remember who you truly are. This having an incarnation slows down everything for you so that you can do it slowly, carefully, and it's easier for you to remember who truly are in the body, whereas it's difficult in the higher realms. When you're in the body, you're completely focused on this little ball of energy that you are and this life that you're having, and you deal best with whatever it is that you're dealing with in this body. And in doing that, you sort of become a better version of you, a complete version of you, a true version of you. So so it sort of slows everything down for you. It's like the kindergarten. So if that's the university, you come to the kindergarten here.
I see. Can you also have simultaneous incarnations on other planets?
Oh yes.
This is getting harder and harder to understand. Not easier, Shruti.
Well, I don't understand it either, so yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah. One last question. My girlfriend wanted me to ask you this, which is, why do we dream? Why do we have dreams?
He's talking about an enigma. Enigma means a mystery, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's talking about it's for you to know that you have an unconscious part in you. Because of the dreams that you know that there's something else in you which you're not aware of. So it's like a gateway, a portal for you to question, to see into the other side of you, the unconscious side of you, and to think about it, to contemplate it, to understand it, to acknowledge it. So it's a tool that we are born with, let's say, in this human form, that encourages us to question what we cannot sense through the sense planes. Question it.
So does every dream does have a meaning, right? It's trying to communicate something to the conscious mind.
It's trying to bring to the surface, yes, some things which the unconscious wants to highlight. Yes.
So why are dreams so difficult to understand then?
Because they are hidden things inside of you. And everything that's hidden is difficult to understand.
Because when you said the dream means just what it says, you're famous for saying that. The dream means just what it says. So you're saying that the dream, because you and Freud got into, to come back full circle where we started here with Freud, you and Freud got into a debate over interpreting dreams. For Freud, a lot of dream symbolism was sexual. For example, if a pencil appears in a dream for Freud, it's really a penis. So it's a disguised penis. But then what about when a real penis appears in a dream? So what I'm wondering is, to what degree, I mean, is it censoring? Is it trying to hide things from us? Or okay.
He's saying that it's different for everyone. I mean, there might be some things which are common and are shared with unconsciously with others, and we share these things which might mean the same thing, but it's very personalized. Every dream is very personalized. So I can tell you what happens to me, okay, and I don't know whether that will make sense, but this I've observed through paying attention. I think I've said this before on another video. Well, consciously, I love big cats. I love lions. I'm like mesmerized with them. I love to look into their eyes and observe. Yes, of course, when they're sort of on that side of the cage, but but I love them. They're very enigmatic, very beautiful creatures. But in the times in my life when I'm stressed, when I'm having, let's say I've had a fight with my husband and I'm going through a lot of stress, and or I'm scared about my results, or something which is very difficult for me emotionally to handle, and I'm scared in some way, I get dreams about me being chased by a lion or a tiger, and sort of I am inside the house and they're roaming outside and I can't go out. And it's come to my attention that it's in the times when I'm really distressed, fearful of something, scared, and going through a difficult time emotionally, I get the dreams of a big cat. And big cat in my dream represents my fear. So there is fear on the surface, and then I have this horrible nightmare that there's a big cat chasing me. So so how will you show fear in a dream then? You have to have these symbolizations of some sorts, to tell you that you can't see emotions in a human body, can you? So your emotions have to take a form for you to identify them. So it's your emotions that come up as your emotions are manifested in some form that you can recognize them. So for me, I can recognize fear now as a cat, as a lion or a tiger. So for that reason, you can't see yourself saying you are scared.
Yeah.
You have to have this dramatization of stuff for you to sort of analyze it, think and feel it, and then when I get up with a sense of fear. So what is actually hidden in me, and which I don't realize that is hidden in me, is like I'm scared of sort of having an argument, let's say, with I don't want to have an argument. It's uncomfortable. I don't like it. I love him. Yeah. So it sort of, your unconscious brings to surface whatever is hidden through dreams in the form of symbolization.
Well, that makes good sense. Yeah, because they're emotions, and there's no other way to picture emotions except by using images and dramatizing them to convey what the emotions are, because they're not concepts. It's not dealing with the left side of the brain, which is conceptual, but more with the right hemisphere, which is pictorial and imagistic. Okay, that's interesting. All right. I think those are all the questions that I had for you, Carl. That was a lot, I know. He said this was going to be an epic interview. I mean,
did you think it was epic? It was embarrassing.
It was big. It was our longest one. It was like 90 minutes, I think, almost.
Oh, really?
Yeah. All right. Okay. So thank you, Carl, for coming down and being gracious enough to grant us your time. We really appreciate it.
Nodding his head.
Yes. Thank you very much. Okay,
Okay.
Shruti. Until
Bye
next
bye.
time. Bye bye.
Bye.